Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Left Off the Map. Now it's not Taco Tuesday, but I am doing a Mexican recipe to start with, rancheros, which is it's a breakfast dish in Mexico. And I actually had this when I first arrived in a little town called Puerto Escondido. The first thing you have to do, or we're going to do, is start by making our red sauce. So if you cut open the skin of this chorizo, you'll find that what's inside is actually quite soft and pliable. It's almost like Play-Doh. It breaks up really well. So we're going to cut that up and use that as the sort of the base mince of our red sauce, or the base flavour of our red sauce. So we'll just cut this and break it up. Chorizo being pork, paprika and garlic, great flavours to impart on a tomato-based sauce. So just roughly chop that. So we'll pop that in. I'm going to cook that only for, I don't want it to be crispy or anything like that. I just want enough of that oil to come out for the pork mix to start cooking, and then we'll start layering some flavours on top. I've got some extra paprika which I'm going to add, and then our tomatoes. Now, traditionally you use a cherry tomato, passata, so that's what we're going to use. All right, so we'll cook. You can see the oil that's starting to come out of that chorizo mix. And that's what we're after. So while that's nice and hot and it's frying, I'm going to punch up the flavours that are already in that chorizo. So like I said, garlic, paprika and pork. I'm going to add a clove of garlic, a teaspoon of smoked paprika. So we've still got that paprika flavour, but a nice smoky flavour. Garlic. Just really reinforcing that fresh chorizo flavour. Just cook that for a couple of minutes, and then I'll add my cherry tomatoes. So tomatoes can go in now. Give that a stir, and then I'll add my vinegar. So I'm using a red wine vinegar. Add sort of cherry vinegar. Apple cider vinegar would be all right as well. Red wine vinegar, about a tablespoon of red wine vinegar. I'll definitely need salt. You've heard me say many times before, tomatoes and salt, they need each other. And we want to cook this pretty quickly. We actually want those cherry tomatoes to stay whole. We don't want them to break down too much. So a good pinch of salt. Now that's warmed through, add in our black beans. About the same amount of black beans to cherry tomatoes. And then 2 more minutes and I'm going to turn the heat off, and that's our red sauce done. Mix those black beans in. Okay, I'll turn that off so that we don't break up our cherry tomatoes too much. Heat off. So now I can get all the fresh ingredients ready to go and cook off my egg. So fresh ingredients, avocado, which I'll just peel or take out of the skin and chop into quarters. And then I'm going to slice this red onion thinly. Then I can start cooking my egg. My red sauce has finished. I've chopped the fresh ingredients, so my red onion and my avocado. So I just need to cook off my egg now. Pan on. My tortillas I've heated, so they're ready to go. I'm just going to pop. So once you've heated them up, just pop a tea towel over the top and they'll stay nice and pliable and nice and warm. So spoon your red sauce on top, a little bit of sour cream on top of that. Arrange your avocado and your onion and just put your egg on top of everything so that when you cut it, the yolk sort of melts down and mixes with the sauce. All right, egg in our pan. Now you can do a soft-boiled egg if you want to. Traditionally, it's served with a fried egg, so I'm going for a fried egg. But if you're someone who likes poached eggs or a slow-cooked egg, you can absolutely do that. So while that cooks, I'll start to get everything else ready. So my red sauce. You've got those big cherry tomatoes, which you're going to bite into and they're going to be really nice and refreshing. That's my red sauce. Arrange my avocado around that. My Spanish or my red onion. My egg, I can turn that heat off. The last little bit of heat in there will cook that egg. A little bit of Spanish onion on top. My sour cream. Dollop of that. And now the egg goes on top of everything. Slide that on top, like that. And that is huevos rancheros. The huevos meaning egg, and rancheros is that ranch sauce, that red sauce. So try this one if you are a savoury breakfast lover. Now recently I got to go to Saffire, which is a luxury accommodation on the east coast of Tasmania, just outside of Coles Bay. The most unique, or probably the best experience I had while staying there was a thing called Connection to Country, where we got to go around with an Aboriginal elder and learn about the edible foods and the way in which the Aboriginal people cultivated the land and cared for the land. So we're going to go off now and have a look at that. It was an experience like I've never had before. So see what you think. It really did change the way I think about all of the, I guess, native ingredients that are around me.
Okay, welcome to Connection to Country. As you know, my name's Mick. Now, first of all, we'll pay respect to the traditional owners of the area. Mina Palavar, the lagoon people who lived in this area. Pay respect to past, present and future elders for allowing us to walk on the land today. Now, the tour about Connection to Country is about my connection to this land as a Palavar man, and the more I understand and respect our culture, the stronger I become as a man. This one here, the lamandra, or the bulrush, or the sag. There's about 3 things you can do with this. You can dig up the tubers.
Is that edible?
Yes, that's edible.
That's a good start, because we stopped here and I thought, there's no way anything here is edible. I had no idea you could eat this stuff. So you want the white bit?
Have a taste of that. As you can see, I'm using my traditional knife, made by Uncle Stanley.
Knife.
Now, if I didn't have the knife, I'd use a piece of chert. Nice fresh taste at the bottom.
You got to be kidding me. It tastes like fresh pea.
That's right. Yep, greens. Now, you can make a string out of it as well. Now, to make a string, it was a double twisted braid. So it's 2 twists away and then back on itself like that. So it's 2 away and then 1 back. 2 away, 1 back.
And that was something that was just figured out through trial and error?
Oh, yeah,
but this was the strongest way of doing it?
Yes, and the strongest plants, because these plants have got a long-grained fibre. So you'll find we've got many different tea trees and bark that we use, but this one in particular was a really good, strong fibre. That's what it comes out like after.
Oh, really?
That's about 6 years old. So I used it to make nice, soft woven baskets to be able to carry objects in, and just general string, tying up stuff.
So that as you can see, ends up being like that?
Yeah.
And that is strong?
Yeah. Now, they do come out in a seed pod as well, and the seed pods were collected and they were eaten, and they taste like a pea, once again.
Yeah.
And then as the season goes on, they become a hard black seed, and then they're ground down on a grinding stone to make a flour, to make a bread.
Awesome.
So that's just our first one.
That is so cool. And it's the first place we've stopped.
That's it.
And you've already blown my mind.
All over Australia they grow. Now this one here, Ben, is pale rush. Not an edible. This one here we used to use for building our boats.
Right.
Now, our boats were up to 6 metres long, made out of tea tree for the strength, and this plant here for the buoyancy. The reason why they used to use this one for the buoyancy is what's inside of here.
Oh, it's like a sponge.
It's foam. You feel that little worm?
Oh my God.
This, if you put this on the water, it will totally suspend itself, so it won't sink whatsoever.
That feels like manufactured foam.
It does. Yep.
The way it bounces back is unreal.
And that's why the rafts would be able to stay buoyant for about 4 days.
Yep.
And if they went somewhere like Shooting Island on a regular basis,
yep,
they'd have another boat down
over
there, up on
ready
the
to come
beach,
back.
up on the sticks so
Swap
it's
it
dry,
over.
swap it over.
Wow, that is cool. This is awesome, Mick. This is brilliant.
Okay, ochre, sedimentary rock between rock and clay. Lucky enough in Tasmania we've got a really high mineral state, so we've got our ochre ranges all the way from this orange right through to purple and then right back down to tan. So as you can see, it's coming off of my hand just like a piece of chalk. It sort of feels like it, nice and talky.
It is very talky, isn't it?
We used to use it, put it in our hair as adornment, on our bodies as a coloration. Some people were lighter in skin colour in summer when it was really hot, and they should put it on their skin to stop sunburning.
Right.
Put it on our tools so they don't look like a stick anymore.
Yep.
Now in Tasmania, it's women's business. So women, they control the ochre mines. And if I want to get ochre, I've got to go and trade with the women up at Deloraine.
Wow.
Traditionally, they used to take the soil off the top of the ochre, heat it up with a big fire, and then once it was really hot, throw the cold river water on it and it'd all fracture open.
Yep.
They'd pick it up like that into their bags and take it to trade. Now,
That is so cool.
to use it, it's pretty hard to grind. We might be here for a while. Done.
Oh, you won't be here for too long.
And water we'll use just to show you display purposes.
Oh, it's like paint.
Oh yeah. And there's that coloration. Now, as you'll see though, it's only a pigment. So it's got no bonding agent in it. So I want to put it on my skin, it's all right, but as soon as I start to sweat, it's going to wash straight off.
Right.
So to make it stick to our body and to our hair, we used to use seal fat. The fat of the seals,
yep, or
the fat of the eels. So, and that's what gave it that bonding agent to be able to do it, to put it on our body. To put it in our caves and on our bark paintings and that sort of thing, the seal fat's a little bit difficult to work with, so our other bonding agent is egg whites. From our swans, our ducks, our geese, emus, all those, and once that bonds, it holds forever.
Yep, the protein.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So yeah, really important thing for the women. Now they've been passing that tradition on to their daughters now for 45,000 years.
Wow.
Which is pretty incredible.
So we've got agriculture happening, there's mining happening.
Yes,
all
that's
of
right.
these, primary industries were taking place here well before white settlement.
100%.
Well, that really is one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. And next episode, we'll continue on with that, heading down to the beach and learning a little bit about how seafood was harvested by the Aboriginal mobs as they sort of made their way around Tasmania. So I'm going to use a native Australian ingredient for this recipe as well. I'm using macadamias. I love macadamias. They're quite versatile. You can roast them. It completely changes the flavor and the texture. You can have them raw like this, which is lightly salted. I'm gonna use this to grate on top of the dish at the end. So it's an interesting way of using macadamia because there's a nice amount of fat in the macadamia. It helps carry the flavor really well. It's a nice, once you've grated it, it's a nice soft, gentle texture on your mouthfeel, but also carries flavor really well. It's got that nice nuttiness of the macadamia. So we're gonna use that to finish off with. Sort of when you see charred cos on a menu, you think, oh, how's that gonna work? But it's actually beautiful. When you char the cos hard itself, it actually sweetens the lettuce up and makes it, almost sweetens it up, but also makes it a little bit meatier, so it can actually stand on its own as a whole meal. So that's what I'm gonna do. Before that, I'm making a tomato oil and an anchovy cream to go with it. So in the oven already, I've got the tomatoes. Just got a punnet of cherry tomatoes, covered it with olive oil, pinch of salt, and that goes in the oven. And we're gonna reduce that down for about 45 minutes. And what it does is it drops all the flavor out of the tomato into the oil, and you end up with a tomato infused oil, which is absolutely beautiful and goes perfectly with any charred dish. So the anchovy cream I'm gonna make now. So I've got 3 anchovies. That's about 3. I'm gonna mince them. So just get a knife, run your knife through it, and they will sort of mince up naturally on their own. So just run your knife back and forth. And you see you sort of start to create a bit of an anchovy mince. So pop it into a bowl, all the anchovy mince, a little bit of creme fraiche in there as well. And then the zest of a lemon. And a little pinch of salt. It doesn't need a lot because the anchovies themselves will be salty. I don't use the lemon juice because I want to keep the cream the creme fraiche quite stiff. If you were looking at turning this into a dressing, you could add lemon juice to it and you'd end up with a dressing. But I want this to be quite creamy, quite stiff. All right. Lemon zest, pinch of salt. And that's what you end up with. So it's you can see all the flecks of anchovy through it. But that's that done. So we can get on to charring our cos now. So cut it in half. And that exposes sort of the heart of the cos. A little bit of oil. Sounds cool. Let's let that sit. I want to get my griddle pan really hot so that we're not sort of steaming or poaching the lettuce. It's going to, as soon as it goes in there, it's going to start charring, so it needs to be nice and hot. So we'll just give that 5 minutes to heat up and then we'll put our cos in. You see the really good colour that we've got on the cos on the cut side. So now pop a spoon of your anchovy cream down. I can get my tomato oil out of the oven. Just want to baste my cos with this oil. Just drizzle that over, let it soak into all the layers of the cos. So you've got that sort of tomato infusion all the way through the lettuce. Now, I like to grate my macadamias before I put it on the plate because it creates a really nice, clean cut area around the cos that you can use for, well, that just looks better, I think, when you're plating. So just get your macadamias and grate them on top. Now the first lot, because the cos is nice and warm, it'll almost melt. I'll do one more. So that's 4 macadamias I've used to get a good coating. And the heat that's in the cos, like I said, will just soften the macadamia a little bit. So now you can take it, and it's got that nice clean cut around it, so it's not all over the plate. And that's it. The charred cos with anchovy cream and the grated macadamia on top. So there's a few little techniques that we're using to lift something that is so simple like cos, which has been charred on a griddle plate. The technique of grating the macadamia over the top, and that kind of hits that hot charred side of the cos and just melts into it. And you can see as it's sitting there, that macadamia is starting to melt and soften and become part of the lettuce itself. So that is a fantastic dish. If you want to wow someone, tell them you're going to make them charred cos and then serve this up, and it'll completely change the way they think about lettuce in general.